Do you own a 300 series and want to know what's happening under the bonnet with your engine, temperatures, data, fuel consumption, scan gauge 3, this video, stay tuned, we're going to run through it straight out of the box. Okay, so straight out of the box today, we're going to unbox the scan gauge 3, plug it directly in. You are going to have the ignition on so it can power this unit up, and we're going to set it up from scratch. So stay tuned, let's connect it. Most important, instructions, have a read of them as well, but also this guide is going to step you straight through it. Inside here, scan gauge 3 itself, OBD plug, where that is located in the driver's side, straight down here, there's a tapered plug. It only goes in one way, literally just push it in there and one connector, really easy. And you hear it click, straight in there, and to dislodge it, just push down in there, away you go, and plug it in, ignition on, and it'll power up. In this little bag here, we've got the mount, got a little alcohol wipe, a little manual how to use it. It's pretty straightforward though, and an adjustable mount, so you can lock it on the window and put it where you need to view it. And then you've also got little magnet pads here as well, because how that works is it just clips onto the back and that holds the scan gauge 3 in place. And you just adhere this, peel off the 3M and stick it on the back like so. And you can locate the scan gauge 3 somewhere easy that's convenient for you, and then just run the cable up to it. All right, so let's power this thing up and show you how to set it up on an initial startup. Okay, so I've just plugged in the OBD connector down below. Make sure you give it a nice sturdy push in, make sure it's lodged into place nicely. Good connection. Going to connect to the connector in the back of the scan gauge 3. Foot on the brake. Just going to start the vehicle up, and you'll see the scan gauge is going to power up. It's going to give you a warning and run through. You just have to go to accept. And it says, would you like to do a quick view tutorial run through to get started? You can select yes or no, it's up to you. I'm going to say no because I'm running through today with you. Now it just goes straight to the home screen here where you've got scan, gauge, more and trip. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go more, we're going to go setup, then I'm going to go through to vehicle, and a couple of things we're going to set up is the tank size, the engine size, and is it gas, or that's what it's American, it's gas, is it diesel? And we're going to set up some basics of the scan gauge and what it is. All right, so just to recap, we're at the home screen here. We're going to go more, we're going to go to setup, and normally it goes defaults to, across the top here you've got display, vehicle, units, adjust and advance. First one we're going to do is the vehicle. Tank size, so I already know owner's manual 300 series, my vehicle is 110 litres. So just going to pop in there, 110 litres. I've never been able to get 110 litres in this vehicle. Engine size, I'll put that in there as well, 3.3, diesel. Now the next one across the top of the menu screen is the units. So temperature, these units are made in America, or they're American unit, so they're in Fahrenheit. I want to go to Celsius. Distance, I want it in kilometres. Volume, I want it in litres. Pressure, I prefer PSI, it's up to you. You can go KPA if you like. Currency, you've got dollar, euro, pound, yen. Litres, over 100 kilometres, I'm going to put that on. Now the next one across the top up here is adjust. Now the great thing with the scan gauge 3 is you can do a speedo correction calibration. So if you've got a GPS, not saying to use your phone, but if you've got a hand holder and you can set it up and get a GPS speed. I've got the Garmin, I trust that it's accurate, so I can correct my speedo on here so I know it's right. You can also adjust all different things in here as well. Now, quick one, going over to advanced mode. I'm going to leave it on to the CAN SF. Update rate, I'm going to go to high. Oh, sorry, you've got slow, normal or fast. I'm going to go to fast. Sleep event, now that's when the unit shuts down, obviously on 0 RPM is on the screen. You've also got comms, so if the comms drop off, and then you've got volts. sleep event. There is a little question mark here. If you're running complete lithium battery setups in your 300 series or any vehicle for that matter, that one there is a great little adjuster, because what the unit's looking for is the battery voltage dip on startup and at what point to tell it go to sleep. You can adjust that. Currently battery voltage in my vehicle is fluctuating around 13.6 volts. So that's a good little one you can adjust. Next one down there is a Wi-Fi update. This unit is absolutely amazing because you can keep updating the unit as more advanced options come available. And also lastly on the screen is a reset default. We don't really need to use that at the moment. So pretty much we've set that up, we'll go out of that. And next I'm gonna go to the X gauge down here. So if you go home, gauges, home, more, X gauge. Now you can either manually enter them, which you used to have to do with the Scan Gauge 2. The great thing with the Scan Gauge 3 is it does an auto scan. So pretty much what we're gonna do here is hit auto scan. I'm gonna select the vehicle, scroll to the bottom, Toyota, select, start scanning, and away we go. It's gonna sit here, it's gonna scan the vehicle, it's gonna look for sensors, inputs, and data that it can show you on the screen. This is much quicker, it's a great function in the Scan Gauge 3. So you can tick down which ones you want to actively swap over and have availability. I'm just going to select all and then hit save. Then I'm going to go back home, and from there now I can hit gauge. Now layout, screen layout, all that sort of things here. You can see here this is a 3x3 layout at the moment. You can change that to however you want to see. If you want larger text boxes, you can have that. Now just to jump into what's displayed on the screen, you can change that as well. How you do that? Simple. Touch whichever box you want. So if I just go back, touch whichever one you want to change. I'm going to do this top left one. It says today's cost. Actually, I'm going to go down the bottom here. So you've got 1, 2, and 3. They're your screen layouts. So just going to hit back to 1. Okay, gauges. Now we've downloaded all the X gauges. I'm going to go back into gauges, and you've got 3 screen displays. You'll see it down the bottom here, 1, 2, and 3. This is screen 1, this is screen 2, and screen 3. You can customize those layouts to whatever you want to see. To do that, literally, you're going to go hit this little cog on the bottom right, hit that in the screen that you're wanting to change, and you've got the display, you've got colors, you can change all of that, brightness as well. Now you hit layout and it says 2x3, 2x2. I'll just do 2x2 to show you how that's going to look, and then I'm going to go back. Now screen 3 only has 2 readings by 2, and when you come back to screen 2, I'm going to change that one and do something different, and I'll do a 2x3. I'll do fuel eco layout just to show you how adaptive this really is. So now screen 1, I've got what I want on there, and also screen 2, I've got 2 down, 3 across. Screen 3, I've got 2x2. So that's screen layout explained. Now for you people that want to see larger explanations and easy to read, this one here is probably the easiest. Me personally, I actually like more data. I just know what I put where. Now this is my next one. Now you can change what box reads what. So it's not locked into any particular location on the screen. So for instance, today's average speed, which is the top right up here, I'm going to change that to, let's have a look, ambient temperature. And I'm going to select that. And as you can see, it's now changed to that. So how do you change that? You literally tap that, tap whichever box, so tap top right. Now you can just scroll through, select what sensor you wanted to monitor in that box, and I just went through and I said just here ambient temperature, selected ambient temperature, and up we go. Now here's one that you might like, and a lot of people talk about it, 300 series. oil pressure. Let's select that one. Okay, so straight away, we're just sitting here at idle. I've got 16 PSI of oil pressure. You see it on the screen there right now. So let's try the one underneath. Intercooler temp. That might be an interesting one you might want to monitor. So here we go down the bottom there. And I'm going to go on the far left. I'll go back to standard input sensors. One I like to read is, let's have a look here, coolant temperature. So as you can see here, coolant temperature top left. Next one down, let's have a look for another sensor that I think is a great one to read. EGT, exhaust gas temperature. So if you're towing, you're under load, that's a good one temperature wise. You want to know real time how hard the engine's working. So you want to go to bank 1 sensor 1. There is multiple sensors. Bank 1, there is only one bank on the exhaust on this vehicle. And now it's coming down and you've got sensor 1, 2 and 3. Now 1, 2 and 3, what that's actually doing is the exhaust sensor 1 is right up close to the engine, 2 is one side of the DPF, 3 is the other side of the DPF. Interesting fact is, when it's doing a regeneration on the DPF, sensor 3 is actually the hotter one. So with the engine speed as well, another cool little function I'll tell you as well, you can tap on it and in the top right you've got a small A and a large A. If you actually hit that, you'll see the text comes a lot larger. So it's much easier to read. So we can just go back, hit engage. So in here you've got the size of your screen layout, but while you're actually playing around with these different readings, you can see right here now, you'll see the text changed. It says smaller, larger. It's just a little function that's built in there. It's a nifty little thing. One I haven't touched on much, it's not something I get super involved with, is the trip. You can keep putting like heaps of different factors it monitors for your trip, depending on what you want it to monitor. So now when I say that, fuel consumption and monitoring that with the Scan Gauge 3, you're correcting the tyre size, calibrating the tank literage, and when you refill the tank, it's very important to get this thing accurate. And I will hands down say, this thing here, I trust the fuel gauge on this more than Toyota. When the fuel light comes on the dash, there's a lot more range left in it. Like I said, it's a 110 litre fuel tank. I've never been able to get 110 litres in it when I think it's empty. A maximum I've usually got in it is about 95 litres. So with the engine speed as well, another cool little function I'll tell you as well, you can tap on it and in the top right you've got a small A and a large A. If you actually hit that, you'll see the text comes a lot larger. So it's much easier to read. So we can just go back, hit engage. So in here you've got the size of your screen layout, but while you're actually playing around with these different readings, you can see right here now, you'll see the text changed. It says smaller, larger. It's just a little function that's built in there. It's a nifty little thing. This thing here, I trust the fuel gauge on this more than Toyota. When the fuel light comes on the dash, there's a lot more range left in it. Like I said, it's a 110 litre fuel tank. I've never been able to get 110 litres in it when I think it's empty. A maximum I've usually got in it is about 95 litres. And why I'm talking about fuel, a lot of people, and like I'm saying, these things need more range. So if you've got a long range tank, that's where you need to go back into the setup and change the litres on the tank size. So it's no longer 110 litres. If you've got a 30 litre larger sub, you need to add that in there so that when you fill up, it's accurate to what it's used, the literage you've put in. So when you go to the fuel station, and let's just go back here. Now the home screen, you go here, you hit more, and it says fill up. When you go to fill up, it says fill up or partial. Fill up means it's bone dry and you're filling the tank with whatever set size you said. You need to be on partial, and then you need to add how many litres of fuel you put in at the Bowser. So once you've filled up, look at the receipt. If you put 95 litres in, add 95 litres. The next one, jump over, put the price in there. If you only want to know the literage, don't stress about the fuel cost. However, like I said, this thing here will track how much fuel litres you've used, plus the cost of the trip, and all of the data, all your temperatures. So this is the other one as well. You need to calibrate the tank size. So the initial couple of times that you fill the tank up is important, and you do it the right way. We get a lot of people that just go, oh, full, and I've filled the tank up. you haven't filled the tank up because it wasn't bone dry. So when you come into here, tank size, I'm going to go 110. Fuel added, I'm going to go 95 litres. Now make sure you get the decimals in the right place as well. You'll see 95.00. One thing with the fuel cost, you only get to the 2 decimal places, so if you want to round it, that's completely up to you. Now, when it goes along here, you'll see how it's got full and partial. You need to hit partial. Don't keep hitting full because it won't calibrate it correctly. If it's done right, this thing is super accurate. And just to touch on that with fuel, there is another finer calibration. Once you've set everything up correctly and you're putting the right data in the right places, you can also go to setup, and across the top you've got display, vehicle, units and adjust. If you scroll down to the third one, it says fuel flow. Now you can adjust the trip litres over 100 kilometres by a percentage. So if you just need to tweak it a little bit, just to make sure you're getting everything to the best you can, that's where you need to make that adjustment. Okay, so here's a couple of sensors and a quick run through. On the top here, I've got coolant temp sensor, that's engine coolant temp, speed, oil pressure, engine oil pressure, EGT, exhaust gas temperature, boost pressure. Remember, we've set it up in PSI. We've got intercooler temp. Now that is the water temp as well of the heat exchanger, battery voltage, and we've got IAT. That's bank 1, sensor 1, and we've got IAT, which is sensor 2. So one's before, one's after. So obviously we're stationary at the moment, there's a 10 degrees difference. As you're moving, you're gonna start to see the efficiency of the heat exchanger. Now, good little one with the scan gauge 3, you don't have to watch it like a hawk. So if you're on screen 1, 2 or 3 and you wanna set an alarm for something, you can hit this little cog, and across the top, you've got monitors. When you hit monitors, they all say empty, the boxes in there. You hit one of them, and if I want to monitor, let's just say battery voltage, or hang on, let's say coolant temperature. It's at 81 degrees. We're going to select it. Now it asks you coolant temp is above, let's just say 80 degrees. And you were to hear it beeping and it's flashing at the top of the screen and it's 81 degrees. So now we can change the alert sound. Can you hear this? So you've got different sounds, and also it's going to flash on the screen at you. So, and you'll see it here, it's red, it's saying it's at 81 degrees, and it's alarming you that you've set a set point and it's notifying you. So you don't always have to be watching it. So another one, when you're setting these alarms as well, you've got equals, is below, is above, and then you set your digits, whatever you want to have in there. All right guys, that's a wrap on the scan gauge in your 300 series. Until next time, I'll see you out on the tracks. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hit the subscribe button. I'll see you next week.